Controlling, she's managing attention, communicating respect, finding friendly eyes, never front and center, say your name, feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi, I'm Tiffany.
Hi, Tiffany.
Many of us may have heard the quote by Paul McCartney that goes, "If slaughterhouses had glass walls, we would all be vegetarians."
Yeah.
I want to share with you the story of my journey to not only becoming vegetarian, but eventually becoming vegan. I know some of you might think that veganism is like for hippies, and even if it's something you wanted to do, it's just so unattainable or just seems so difficult. But I know it's something that we should all care a lot about, because everyone in this room and everyone universally cares about morality and cares about ethical decisions, and for that reason, I know you guys all care about animal cruelty. So the first reason that I became vegan was for these ethical implications. There was a night last year that I decided to watch a documentary called Earthlings, and it's titled Earthlings because an earthling is just anyone who inhabits this earth, human or not human, so it's about animal cruelty. I was sitting at the head of my bed, like my knees all tucked in, and then with a laptop at the foot of my bed, and was watching it like this, like the way you watch a horror movie, because it's basically a horror movie. It was terrifying and disgusting and really eye-opening. And so now when I see a fluffy omelet or sunny side up eggs or something, all I see are male chicks being ground up because they're useless because they can't produce eggs. When I see a nice, tall, cool milkshake, I just see cows being raped because they only produce milk when they're pregnant, and then having all these unnecessary babies, which created the veal industry, hooking them up to machines and then having them die after 4 years instead of 20 because of all the abuse, and then sending that meat off to the fast food industry. So when people ask me, don't you miss like omelets, or don't you miss cookies or butter or whatever, all I see is that footage, and I just say no, I don't miss it at all. And so I'm personally committed to being vegan because every person who does, just for a year, is going to save about 200 animals during that time. And so the second reason that I am personally committed to being vegan is because it actually helped me come out of an eating disorder. So last year I got into the habit of binging because I was so restrictive with my diet that eventually your body just goes into survival mode and you just gorge on everything that you possibly can eat, and it's so out of your control. And I would remember eating the tiniest dinners and then going to sleep feeling like I was the healthiest and like most committed person in the world, waking up at 2 a.m. and sitting at my desk with my snack drawer and just like in tears and so ashamed and so, like I just felt so out of control, and would just go through the whole entire thing. And so it wasn't until I really understood that animal cruelty is something to stress about that I realized how many calories you ate yesterday is not something to stress about. And so it really helped to filter what I ate through, well, was this created in a cruelty-free way, instead of, is this going to make me look a certain way for like superficial reasons. And so, as maybe some of you know who've ever tried being vegetarian or vegan, it's really easy to wake up one day and just decide you're going to be vegetarian. But it's really hard to stay vegetarian or vegan. So I'd like to share with you 3 ways that I've implemented in my life that really helped me continue to be vegan. The first would be preparing to the max. So if you give me a restaurant right now, I can tell you exactly what I'm going to get there because I know what dishes they have that are vegan friendly. I always check menus online or call ahead, or bother my waiter even though it's embarrassing because I just have to and I have to prepare. And I just avoid situations that aren't going to be vegan friendly, like a bacon appreciation festival or something. Obviously I'm just not going to go. So secondly, I try to veganize the rest of my life, so no leather or suede or zoos or like L'Oreal because they test on animals, etc. And thirdly, I try to remind myself of why I started. So I'll rewatch documentaries or look up a certain like industry that I'm not so informed on. For example, I really want to know more about honey because I don't know if bees are like treated badly or not. So I don't know if that's like okay for me to eat. So when I do these things, I feel really proud, not really compared to anyone else, but just because I feel like I'm in such a better place than I was a year ago with my eating disorder, and just, I mean, I never thought that I would be able to be vegan either, And so I just really feel proud of myself and the voice that I have for animals that don't have a voice. So in summary, I've shown you 2 reasons and 3 ways that I'm personally committed to veganism. And there should be no doubt in this room that I am so passionately committed to this, and it's just such a big part of my life. And I just love talking about it. Honestly, I don't even care if I'm gonna go over. And so I don't really think it's like the slaughterhouse walls that need to be opened up. I think there's so many resources and so many documentaries out there for us to see. I really think it's just a matter of us needing to open our eyes and open our hearts and like actually wanting to see it, and realizing that, you know, even if I just save 1 animal for a year, that just makes it totally worth it for me. Thanks.
529. I guess we're here.
Hi, I'm Shelby.
Hi, Shelby.
Hey, I think it was a really I really liked your
respectfully
opening,
outside.
especially. Like, that was really graphic with the whole idea of the slaughterhouse walls being open, and I've never thought about that with creating a milkshake before, so. But I think it was a good point. It was really good at being convincing, so.
Yeah, we sanitized, you know, the meat industry. They're in nice little glass cases in our stores. But if you've ever been to a slaughterhouse,
I want to go.
you think again. Next, improvement. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Thomas.
Hi, Thomas.
I think that your speech was really vivid, and especially the first story, that it was really vivid, and it grabbed my attention that way. But I think that maybe emphasizing your second story a little bit more, just because the first one was so vivid, that maybe that would have helped.
That's good advice. I love the Paul McCartney quote. I think it's right. I think you read any of these books or see any of these movies or documentaries, and you can't help but being affected by it. It's pretty grim. On the first reason, you grossed us out with great word pictures that were really tough, and your audience was sort of wincing, and you paraded the horribles. So you got the job done. It was a touch long, but it did the job. I agree with Thomas. You may have wanted to flip that or spent a little more time on your second one. I thought that you confessing that you're a binge eater took real courage and was very authentic, and was what I was after with the personal commitment speech, for people to share that kind of thing in class. That was very good. Thank you for that. On your actions, you talk and ask and do all these kinds of things, and you boycott L'Oreal and so forth, and you don't wear leather and so forth, and you're checking out honey, and you're just being very vigilant with how I'd sum up all your actions, and you had how you felt about your actions, and then you could have finished in time, but you still wanted to make your case, and you felt so passionately about it, you did so. So no distracting gestures. Use as much time as possible. Follow the provided structure better. How'd it go?
I guess I'll see the gestures thing on YouTube, but that was something I noticed when I watched my other thing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, what am I doing?
Yeah.
With following the structure better, I think that was okay.
Yeah.
It took a lot of effort to remember to put in the feeling proud at the end of my 3 actions. So
Yeah, I know. A lot of people skipped it.
And using up all the time, I guess. Well, that kind of hit me in the butt, but whatever.
Yeah. At least you got the Paul McCartney thing. So you did a nice job. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to Arazoo. How you doing? I'm swell.
This is on red. Do you think it's gonna last?
Let's pray so.
Okay.
Quickly, that we're on borrowed time.
Hi everyone, I'm Arzu.
Hi, Arazu.
So I tell everyone that I hate the movies. I don't actually hate the movies. I hate that every time there's a sad part on, I feel really compelled to start crying, and everyone looks at me like, why is this girl crying? It's not real, it's a movie. And it doesn't matter if it's an animated movie like Up or if it's something like The Hurt Locker, I'll still start crying. So today, I want to share with you my personal commitment to less crying. And I know you all will find this to be my personal commitment because it's been something I've struggled with my entire life. Even right now, I can feel tears starting to come just talking about it. And so I will share with you 2 reasons why I'm personally committed to crying and 3 actions I've taken to alleviate this problem of mine. So the first reason that I want to stop crying is it goes back to my childhood of me like constantly being known for crying with everyone, like kids at school, parents. Everyone just knew that I cried all the time. And so I look back to when I was 11 and we were all in a circle. And for some reason, 11-year-olds think that sharing reasons they don't like each other is a great game to play. It's not a great game to play. It's a stupid idea. And you shouldn't do it. And so one of the girls, she looks directly at me, and she says, I hate hanging out with Arzu because she always cries. Needless to say, the game ended pretty quickly because I ran out of the room and started crying. So don't play that game when you're little because it's a dumb game. The next reason why I want to stop crying is it affected me in professional settings as well. I remember I had an interview, and I knew the question that was coming, and it was a round-robin interview, so you get moved to a different table every time. And I knew the question, I had my answer, but for some reason I could feel the tears coming. My nose was like starting to like clog up a bit. My throat just like closed. And so the 2 interviewers, obviously they knew I was a mess. And I just stopped with my answer, said a different answer that took 2 sentences, looked at them and was like, yeah, I'm done. And needless to say, I still got the job. I guess crying makes you look like you're a good candidate or something, whatever reason. But it's going back to those moments in my childhood and in professional settings that makes me realize that it makes you look weak in front of people. They treat you differently. They think you're not capable of like handling a task. And I like to joke around that the surgery I got to fix my obstructed tear ducts when I was little either worked too well or got messed up somehow because I just can't stop crying. Even now, like in college, it's like I'm a 20-year-old woman and I still have to cry spontaneously all the time. So 3 actions that I've taken to prevent my crying is when I feel like I'm going to start crying, I like to run out of the room and not be present, which seems like a cop-out, but it's foolproof. You can't cry if you don't see anything that makes you want to cry. So the second way that I combat my crying issues is I'll start trying to think of like happier moments. For example, there's these cringeworthy text messages one of my friends sent to another friend to try to hit on him, and I thought they were hilarious. And so I keep trying to look back at those text messages of where she legitimately sends him a list of coffee shops and explains to him that she's trying all the coffee shops in LA and that's why she wanted to go on a coffee date with him. And so I just keep remembering those cringeworthy texts as a method for me to stop feeling the need to cry. I think it's working right now. The third action that I've taken to prevent myself from crying is to cry when it's necessary. Because, bottling up all your emotions is dumb. We have emotions for a reason. It's what makes us human. And if you cry when it's necessary, that's what really, helps you for moments like this when you're about to break down and cry in front of an entire room of strangers. So, in conclusion, my personal commitment to crying has made me feel less ashamed and more likely to admit I cry. This is me. Deal with it. I deal with it. And I realized that I hate it when people try to console me or tell me it's okay, don't cry. You know what? I want to cry, and I will cry. And I don't need you to pick me up. I need you to ignore me, let me cry, and figure it out, because that's what helps me. So if you can respect my crying issue, I can respect you pretending I'm not crying. And we will all have a great time. So, in conclusion, I hope you all understand that my personal commitment to crying is real and necessary. And it's been something I've struggled with my entire life. Not just, 2-year span, it's been like 20 years going ever since I came out of the womb. Still crying, still strong. I hope you all understand that crying isn't necessarily a sign of weakness. It's just something that some of us can't control as well as others. And it's a work in progress for me. And so my personal commitment to crying less has resulted in 3 actions that I've taken. And these are the 2 reasons why I need to cry less. And guess what, everyone? I went to the last Hunger Games movie, Mockingjay, and I did not cry like I did in the first 2. Thank you.
Thank you. 358. Where are we? Somewhere over here. Somewhere over here.
Hi, I'm Rachel Leah.
Hi, Rachel Leah.
Hi, Arzu. I thought you did a really great job. I think standing up there and talking about crying makes it really hard, obviously, to not cry. And I think that even though you were teary-eyed during a lot of it, you really were composed, and it really brought through your emotion, and you could tell how passionate you were about it. And I don't think that was an issue. I don't think it took away that much from your speech. And I really like the little elements of humor that you put in, because when you talk about something serious, it can bring all of us down and lightening the mood up in the room and being like, it's okay, like, here are some things that are kind of funny about it, and you've accepted it, made me really be able to connect with you. So you did a really great job.
Thank you, Rachel Leah.
Hi everyone, I'm Julia.
Hi, Julia.
I completely agree. I think with a topic like that, it's really hard to talk about, especially since with crying, people feel like that's their most vulnerable point. So I really commend you for talking about that. I don't think I would have been able to. As far as advice, I guess I really like the balance between like the humor and the emotion, and I think because you were so emphatic about what you were saying, you kind of just had abrupt hand gestures and like looking around a little bit, but that's just because of the nature of what you were talking about and because you had the courage to talk about something like that. But that's all I have to say.
Yeah, Arzu, I liked the speech. It was very personal, obviously, and private, and what I wanted someone to talk about. So you talked about something that was very private. Speaker of the House, John Bonner, has been made fun of for crying. I don't know if you've heard of this or noticed this. If you've never heard that. Yeah, he gets, he'll hear the Star Spangled Banner and he'll start crying. And it's tougher when a man wears his emotion on his sleeves, it's called. So, but I appreciate you having the courage to come out and talk about it. Let's talk about your reasoning and your stories and how you told them. You alluded to a tear duct surgery, and then you talked about the little girl in the circle that said, I hate being with Arzu because she cries all the time. So it was kind of a traumatic moment. So that helped us understand a little of how long this has been going on and how tough this is. On the second story, on the round robin and getting the job, that had a happy ending, and I'm glad that you mixed the humor in with all this too. Running out of the room, yeah, I guess that's one way. You did say here you chant mantras to keep you from crying. I guess that's okay, and or thinking of a joke or thinking of something happy, because I think it's mood induced. You don't have to answer this if it's too personal, but what do your parents say? Do they say, this is our Arzu, or do they say, we love you as you are, or what do they say?
I mean, honestly, I think they're embarrassed about it.
Yeah, that's too bad.
I mean, it's something like a lot of my friends from home know about me.
Yeah.
Because I just like always cry, and it's something that a lot of people in college don't know about me. And it's
Yeah.
like even during these speeches, when they're like really sad and personal, I like want to run out of the room, or I keep looking up and trying to think of other thoughts because I just
Yeah.
am really like in touch with my emotions a little too
Yeah.
much. So
Well, that's good. I think emotions are good. Yeah. Okay, I got it. Your actions were all consistent with you trying to get it under control. Your summary was a little winding and a little wordy, but you ended in plenty of time. I sensed at times you were kind of rushing a little, trying to get it done fast. Your goals were to move around the room, to have eye contact with the entire audience, and stay within the time limit. How'd it go?
I moved. I thought I had eye contact.
Yeah, and you stayed within the time limit, so you did a nice job. Thank you. And it was very personal. Okay, our work is done.